Well, good morning. A very warm welcome here to Doha in Qatar, ready for today's individual time trial for the women juniors. And then following that, we're going to bring you the live action of the men's under 23 individual time trial. Let's take a little look here at what Doha is all about. We're here on the finish line in the Pearl in Qatar. It's sunny, it's 36 degrees centigrade already this morning. The wind is a little bit stronger than it was yesterday, 14 kilometers an hour. So a very, very hot morning already for these riders as they get ready for the race start. We look out over the Pearl. Today's individual time trial is based purely in the Pearl region of Doha in Qatar, as opposed to yesterday where the team time trial actually raced from Lusail down here to the Pearl. Well, there's the aerial shot. This, of course, is an area of 4 million square meters. 12,000 residents are here in the Pearl. It is built on totally reclaimed land from the sea, and it is a pretty spectacular place when you look at it from that aerial view. So this is what we're going to bring you, 9:30 this morning, so we're just 7 minutes from the start, the women's junior individual time trial, and then we follow up with the men's under 23 individual time trial, starting at 11:30, and that takes us all the way through until around about this afternoon. So live coverage of today's racing and bringing you every single rider that is possible with the cameras that we have out on the course. So it's going to be a great day. The women's juniors individual time trial always gives us an indication of future potential, and the riders are getting the bikes checked and everything as we get ready for the first rider to roll off the start ramp and get this race underway. The bike checks happening here. Everything has to comply with the rules as usual. The mechanics fixing and adjusting things at last minute just to make sure that these bikes are all absolutely perfect. Well, here's the last few winners of this junior individual time trial. Last year it was Chloe Dygert in Richmond, a very popular victory by the American rider in her home country. Macy Stewart was in Ponferrada. Eleanor Barker, who's just won Olympic gold, was the winner in 2012 in Limburg. Chloe Dygert yesterday rode for 2016 in the team time trial. So it just shows you the potential of all the riders who have ridden previously. So the riders are about to get ready. We'll take a look at the course in a moment. Alongside me for today's racing is Olympian and former professional rider Lucy Martin. Lucy, we're ready for the 40 riders to take to the start. We'll have a look at the course in a moment. Already very warm here, a lot warmer than yesterday even, 36 degrees. But let's just reflect on the 40 riders who are going to take to the start. This is an important event, isn't it? Because as we look back, previous winners go on to be potentially very, very good professional bike riders.
Yeah, the junior time trial is definitely a key indicator of the talent that's coming up into the next few years. And individual time trial, there's nowhere to hide. It's one rider against the clock. So they really have to give it their all and prove to the world what they're capable of at such an early age.
Let's take a look then at the course. This is 13.7 kilometres. It starts outside the Pearl Mosque and it makes its way into the finish line. Lucy, you've had a little look at this course. It's quite technical, a few twists and turns along the way.
Yeah, it's certainly not an easy one today with the weather, the tight corners, all the continuously twisting and turning. So it's going to be key for the riders to save as much energy where they can and just get into a good rhythm, because there's not too many long points where they can really just keep building momentum. They have to keep stopping and sprinting out of the corners. So it's going to be a real test for these young girls.
We've got the timing point, which comes up at 7.4 kilometres. That gives us the indication of how the riders are doing. And as you can see, as Lucy's just described, many, many technical points on this course before the slightly uphill finish, which will bring us into the line and give us the times of the riders. A few messages on the wheels of this South African rider. I think this is Nicoline Moraes, who is about to get onto the start. Just do it is her motto on her front wheel today. A little bit of morale.
I'm sure many of these girls are going to be so nervous today. It's probably, for many of them, one of their first major competitions. So it's like no other race. It's the World Championships. And I think any little bit of motivation they can get is going to be key.
Well, the first rider is going to take to the start. The first rider to roll off the start ramp will be an Italian rider, Elena Pironi, who is the first rider to take the start ramp. Then Nicoline Moraes, the Chinese rider Chang Yu, will roll down the start ramp. And this is the rundown of the rest of the riders, who go at 1.5 minute intervals all the way through until the final rider takes the start at 10:28 and 30 seconds. As we get towards the end, the higher ranked riders will roll off the start ramp. There's some big names in terms of junior cycling in this race. Yeah,
it really shows how women's cycling is growing. There's some real big talents in this race. We've got European champions, people who've performed really well last year at the World Championship. So I think we're going to see the real future professional elite women's world champions from this group.
Well, the flag is out and the first rider has gone off the start ramp. This is Elena Pironi from Italy, who is underway now. What do we know about Elena in terms of what she's done in her career so far?
Well, she was third at the national championships in the road race and the time trial. And, of course, the Italian junior women's team's very, very strong. So to achieve a bronze medal in that discipline, both disciplines, is fantastic. The Italian women both placed first and second on the podium at the recent Europeans. So it just shows they're really, really bringing strong riders up to the World Championship event here.
It's interesting the way Italy have kind of transformed their program. They were getting, of course, it's a massive cycling nation. Their program was a bit all over the place for a little while. They've brought in David Cassani, who seems to have managed to bring some structure to what they're doing. And now we're starting to see some great performances back from the Italians. We think of Elia Viviani on the track in Rio with his performance winning an Olympic title. And they just look like they have got the skin suits right. They've got everything starting to come back to how we knew the Italians performing. Yeah,
definitely. They've really stepped it up the last few years. And for these young riders to have role models like Elisa Longo Borghini, it's everything they need. They've got someone there to look up to. Sprinters, they've got Giorgia Bronzini, who's been around for years. And it just really, really helps motivate. If you've got a clear pathway, you can pave out your way to become who these girls are, these older elite women who have achieved a lot on the world scene, Olympic scene. So it's really, really inspiring.
Yeah, and you think of other riders, Elena Cecchini, double Italian road race champion, rode yesterday with Canyon Schramm, So they have got great role models, and that takes the pressure off, doesn't it? You can take that expertise and that knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. And it's nice to see so many great Italian elite women on different professional teams. So it also shows to these girls they are accepted. They can go in whichever professional team, top-level team that they want. And I think that's just such a key thing. Again, now we see the South African rider. She'll be looking up to Ashley Mulman-Pazio, who's had a fantastic season. And it just really, really inspires these girls.
So this is the South African rider, Nicoline Moraes, second in the South African Championship time trial and third in the road race, clipping into the pedals to get underway. I'm not sure whether I'd want to be the mascot on the left-hand side here on this start ramp in this heat. What about you?
No, and I think it's not that much different being in an aero helmet, to be honest. I think it's really, really tough. So at least for these young girls, it's only 13.7 kilometres. It's just a real quick, hard effort for them, and it's all over and done with.
Nicoline Moraes rolls off the start ramp, which is pretty a steep one. You've got to be a bit careful as you make your way off that ramp and bump down onto the tarmac. But she's underway now, and we'll look to see when we get to the 7.4 kilometre point how she does, settling into the aero bars and just trying to compose herself. As you've said already, the adrenaline will be really pumping. What sort of warm-up will these riders have done?
They'll have probably been on the turbo trainer, ergo, doing a real hard, intense effort. They need to just not exert themselves too much, but really make sure their legs are warmed up and they've gone into the red. They really need to kind of get themselves at that high level, recover, and then they're ready to race. Because if that's the worst thing you can do, if you don't warm up properly, you set off down the start ramp, you've got high adrenaline, you're nervous, and then sometimes it can feel like your legs are blocked and you want to go faster, but you simply can't. So it's really, really important. But with these hot conditions, it's a lot easier for these girls to warm up.
Next on the start ramp is Chang Yu of China, about to get underway, and one of the younger riders in this field. The Chinese program, again, getting stronger all the time, particularly their track program, very, very good indeed.
Yeah, and like we just said before, if you've got these younger riders having the opportunity to come and race on the world scene, they can look up to all cyclists from their nation and really just want to be a part of it, and this is the perfect way to start. And you can see it's quite a tricky start. They roll off the fast ramp and then straight away into a corner. So it's really key to be able to go around that corner safely, but you also need to not lose too much time and not sprint off the start line and then slam on your brakes straight away. It's a really quite a technical start today.
Yeah, so you've really have got to have thought it out and had a look at the start. Don't be in your massive gear. Don't go sprinting out of that start ramp and then crash on that first corner, which would be possible.
Exactly, yeah. And I think most of these girls will have definitely checked out the course. They'll know all the corners very well. And like you just mentioned, it's really key not to be stuck in a big gear. They need to know they're only young, so some of them are going to be a lot less experienced than the elite women that we see. So it's really about practicing and hoping that they've come here well prepped and they've had good guidance, that they can go into a corner, change down the gears so that they're not stuck in a huge gear sprinting out, and that's going to really drain the legs if they get caught that way.
Next rider is on the start ramp. This is Karen Penko of Slovenia, about to get started. The Slovenian kit, we get used to these over the next few days, the lime green, the blue and white, because all these riders, of course, riding for their nations, as opposed to later on, even when we see the Italian riders, Longa Borghini, etc., in some of the races, they will be wearing their country's kits as opposed to their trade team kits that we get so used to seeing them ride during the season. I noticed the Chinese rider riding a normal road bike as opposed to riding with the aero bars.
Yeah, possibly because maybe they've looked around the course, maybe they feel like it's actually too technical and they might benefit more from being on the normal road bike. But I think, as we can see now, there's quite a long straight, so having aero bars is certainly an advantage, and I think we'll see most of the girls today with aero bars.
And we look at this Italian rider, Elena Peroni. She's got all the aerodynamic advantages. There we go. We can contrast it straight away. She's got the aero bars compared to the Chinese rider just on the normal road bike. And there's a couple of things that certainly don't help. She's got no real respite from the backache and things like that. whereas Peroni can just relax and try and keep the pedals turning, keep nice in a straight line. The Chinese rider, it's just not as comfortable in a time trial.
Yeah, and you're generally on a time trial bike. If you've got a really good position, you can save so much if you're aerodynamic, and you also just feel faster because you're in such a thin airspace. You're just flying through the air. But yeah, it's a lot different on a road bike.
Sarah Martin of Spain is about to get started now, rolling down the start ramp and underway, and the Spanish rider about to get through this first corner.
And she's one of the big talents in junior Spanish cycling. She's the national road race champion, and she was actually 13th in the recent European time trial. So she's certainly an up-and-coming Spanish rider, and it's great to see because the Spaniards haven't really had top elite level women. They've had a few, but they've not had like a big group of Spanish riders. So maybe this is the next generation, and they're really going to step up next year and the coming years.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest name's been Anna Sanchez, who's been riding for the Wiggle High Five team.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's a few others, but unlike the other nations, there's only a handful, and there's not 5, 6, 7 top girls all going for the win, different races. There's only, a small handful, which is a shame, but I think with riders in the World Championships, junior riders having the opportunity, they can only get better and better.
This is the New Zealand rider. This is Michaela Harvey, who's about to get underway. Again, a very talented New Zealander about to roll down the start ramp. Yeah,
and like we just mentioned about nations getting better, the New Zealand squad has really picked up, and they've had a restructuring of the programme, and it's amazing to see these girls come across all the way to Europe to do these championships, because there's not so much racing for them down under, and it's a big effort for them to come over to Europe. So when they get the opportunity, it's really great for them to maximise it. And Harvey is actually the national junior road race champion, so she's obviously great talent coming out of the small country.
Yeah, she's the Oceania time trial champion as well, as she makes her way through that first turn and just keeping the cadence nice and high. Thank you very much for joining us today for this junior women's time trial. It's great to be able to bring the junior races. Last year we didn't bring any of the junior titles at all, so this time we are able to bring you all the junior racing as well as the under 23s and the elite level racing as well. If you're looking to tweet us today, you can tweet us at Ant McCrossan and at Lucy Martin 05 is where you can ask us any questions if you'd like to get interactive and join us during today's racing. Lucy's with us throughout the whole of this junior women's time trial. Rob Hales will be with us throughout the men's under 23 time trial, which will be coming up shortly. This is the next rider onto the start line. This is Adela Safarova, who is from the Czech Republic and about to get underway. Now, this rider from the Czech Republic is the road race and time trial champion as a junior. So another talented rider from the Czech Republic about to roll down the start ramp and get through that first corner. You can see in the background the neutral service cars. All of these riders are allowed to have a following car to look after them in case of a mechanical problem.
Yeah, and hopefully it's such a short distance, 13. Hopefully none of these girls do need a bike change or have any mechanical problems, because they'll lose a lot of time on such a short course. So that would be hard for them. But it's also something that happens a lot in cycling. You have mechanical problems, and it's an important part of cycling. You have to learn how to deal with it, not stress. Just quickly stay calm, get back on your bike as quick as possible. But like I said, hopefully we won't see any of that today.
Well, these riders then, the first few riders have taken to the start line as we look down here on the Pearl, which is bathed in very hot sunshine indeed, 36 degrees centigrade so far. Lucy, before the start, we're kind of reflecting on where women's cycling is and the status in now, how it's grown. This is Yulin Aguirre of Mexico about to get started. So in terms of the junior riders, I was looking back through the history books and thinking about riders who've been previous winners and medalists here. You think of Lisa Brennauer. She was the world champion in 2005. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot was twice a silver medalist 2 years running. Mika Krog has been a bronze medalist here. Amanda Spratt, a bronze medalist. Trixie Warwick was the world champion back in 1998. So we do know that this gives riders that big stage, the ability to be seen, but women's cycling's in a different place now. So what is next for a rider who's just here at the World Championships for the first time?
Well, it's like you said, it's just a really, really good opportunity for them to race at such a high level, actually get to see the other competition, because these are the riders that they're going to be facing for the next few years in their career. Like you just mentioned, all those names, they're still racing, they're still world champions, they're still winning races every day. So it's just key for them to start at an early age to get this high level experience, because you don't want to be always racing small races and then all of a sudden, when you're actually at a key moment later on in your life, go to the World Championships for the first time having never experienced any major competition. So it's really key for these riders to just feel the experience, feel the pressure, because there is pressure at a World Championships, whether they put it on themselves or for whatever other reason. They want to do the best at the World Championships. So if they can get used to that early on, then it's really, really going to help them later in life.
Next rider onto the start ramp then is from Thailand. This is Kanyarat Keslonglang, who's about to get underway. This will be the rider wearing number 32. And great to see another rider as cycling globalizes, a Thailand rider about to get started. It must be really difficult when you're such a tiny nation in terms of world cycling to be here like this. Yeah,
definitely. It must be daunting, but like these countries like Thailand in particular are really, really growing, and they're really trying cycling and women's cycling. So as you can see, she's got the time trial bike, she's got the aero helmet, skin suit. They're really trying to progress and get on a level par and be competitive. And I think over the next 10 years or so, we're really going to see an increase in these smaller nations in cycling as it grows and grows.
Yeah, we're going to discover someone who is going to set alight cycling as far as one of the Asian countries is concerned. I think of Mayuko Hagiwara, who rides for Wiggle High Five, and she's a massive star as far as Japanese cycling is concerned. Yeah,
definitely. She was given the opportunity to race, and she's just taken it with both hands and really, really become a great rider. She won a stage of the Giro d'Italia, and it's just fantastic to see. And as we keep saying about being an inspiration, to have somebody like that, if you're a young Japanese rider, for example, it's got to be huge. It just shows that you can do it, and you can leave the country, you can become a racing World Championships, you can travel around the world, and I think it's really, well, cycling in general is taking off. It's just growing and growing from strength to strength in all disciplines. So yeah, the next few years, I'm sure we're going to have a really good rider from one of those nations.
This is Arela Nerlo of Poland getting counted down to get started. We see the first Polish rider go off the start ramp, and again riders like Katarzyna Pawlowska and other Polish riders, big motivators for a young rider like this.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just key for these girls. If they can, early on at such a young age, like when you're a junior, it's good to also try many disciplines. So you'll see many of these girls in the time trial, also in the road race, because they're so young, they still don't know actually where their forte is. They might be sprinters, they might actually be really good time trialers, they might be good on the track, they may be able to switch between the two. So to have the exposure and be able to just test the limits in different disciplines is really, really key.
Just looking at the first split point at 7.4 kilometres, Elena Peroni is the leader in 10 minutes 31.44. Her average speed there, Lucy, 42.189 kilometres an hour.
That's incredible, isn't it? Such a young age to actually be able to already ride that fast. It just shows what great talent there is here.
Next rider to take to the start, Franziska Braus of Germany, and has got all the aerodynamic advantages that Lisa Brennauer would have. The same skin suits, the aero helmet, everything about to roll down the start ramp now.
Yeah, that's fantastic to see, isn't it? Starting off at the best top level.
Yeah.
And why not?
You might as well have all the kit.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to aspire to be somebody like Lisa Brennauer, you might as well, have all the kit, look like her.
She does look like her pretty much as she gets off the start now. She has got everything. She's got the big aero overshoes on. She's got the disc wheel. She's got the same bike, actually, pretty much, that Lisa would be riding. And looks like she could be, if she can translate the extra trick bits she's got on the bike and the skin suit, could be one of the faster riders.
Yeah, it's certainly going to give her a huge advantage, the aerodynamics there. She just looks really aero already. And one thing that is different, though, is gears.
Oh,
so
yeah.
The junior riders have smaller gears, which is great because you don't want young girls pushing huge gears at such an early age. So it really just keeps them all on a level playing field. And I think on this kind of course, it's actually very, very beneficial. They can't get stuck in a huge gear out of the corners. So it'll be interesting to see how if we get to see some more corners, how they are actually going in and out of the corners.
Well, it's, if you think about the fact they're on smaller gears, 42.189 kilometres an hour on smaller gears is very, very impressive.
Yeah, it makes it even more impressive, doesn't it?
This is the Canadian rider, Erin Atwell, about to roll off the start ramp. A talented rider here from Canada.
Yeah, and she's actually a track rider. She won 4 medals at the track national championships in Canada, and she's raced at the World Championships junior track races. So, like we were just talking about gears, she's going to have a lot of leg speed, and she's really going to benefit from having a smaller gear and sprinting out of the corners. So, a junior road race champion as well. She obviously can double up and do both. So I think she's somebody we could keep an eye on today, definitely.
Well, let's see how she does. The arrival then of the first rider at the finish line. This is going to be Elena Peroni of Italy, who's been setting a very fast tempo out on this course so far. Her split time, 42.189 kilometres an hour. She's still looking very consistent, very good as she spins that gear uphill now to the finish line. You can see just the effort now as she just wavers a little bit into that finishing straight. Now she'll set herself up for the last 100 metres. It's a really tough little finish here on these small gears if you've been right on the limit all the time. And Peroni's going to set the standard for everyone to beat. Hits the line in 19.544, and she's even accelerated, Lucy, 43.058 kilometres an hour.
That's really, really impressive. If you think yesterday the women were averaging around 49 for the team time trial, 6 riders, 40 kilometres. So for a junior rider to average 43 kilometres an hour it's pretty impressive, isn't it?
That's very, very impressive indeed. The next rider starts then. It's the Danish rider, Joanne Marcher, who's about to go through this first right-hand turn. Danish young riders have done very well in the World Championships in the last few years. We think of Amelie Diedrichsen, who was an impressive rider as a junior. Yeah,
definitely. And they can look up to her for an example. She's moved on to Bols Dolmans, one of the best elite female teams at the moment, and she's continued to be successful. She's just going from strength to strength. So many of these girls will be looking for the next pathway into the elite pro peloton.
Look at the speed then of Braus, the German rider. This is really impressive, isn't it?
And she looks good, doesn't she? She looks really in a aerodynamic, tucked position. She's really going for it here.
Well, she's wearing, interestingly, these 3/4 length sleeves by the looks of things. Maybe, I don't know whether that's just to let the forearms cool down a little bit or just a preference of hers.
I think it looks quite cool. Fashionable.
It does, doesn't it? This is, oh, look at this. Over the little bumps here.
Now, that's, for some riders, that's not a problem. They can easily handle it. She decided to stand up, go over. But for some other riders, that could be a bit tricky for them, actually. They need to maintain the same pace over it.
The first Australian rider to take to the start, Chloe Moran of Australia, about to start then, rolls down the start ramp and gets underway.
Now, Chloe's a huge talent from the Australian cycling team. She's the Oceania road race champion, second in the national championship road race and third in the time trial. But what I think is quite impressive about her, the Australian team have been bringing the riders over to Belgium to race in some of the elite comesses, which are really, really good way to ease them into the pro peloton and the distances and ride with other elite riders. And she actually won one of the Belgium comesses. So shows she's in really good form. She beat a Belgium national champion. She beat many good names. So I think, yeah, she's certainly another one to look out for today.
Well, let's see how she does. As we look here at this rider from Germany, I'm impressed with the way that this rider is riding. Now, some riders just look fast,
Yeah.
and sometimes they're not going as quick as you think they are. But this rider looks fast, and to me, looks like she's absolutely flying on this course.
Yeah, you can just see by her legs, and she's not rocking around. She's really pushing fairly big gear, but she's got a good cadence as well. So it's a good mixture of speed and strength that she's showing here. It's only 13 kilometres, so it's important not to get stuck in a slow big gear. She needs to actually keep that speed there, and she's certainly doing that.
Tatiana Duenas about to be underway then for Colombia. Can hear her taking big, deep breaths there on the start line.
Maybe nervous.
Oops, and nearly went off to the right-hand side of that start ramp. Just rolled off and almost went slightly far too far to the right-hand side. I notice she's got one of these aero things up her nose that Kristen Armstrong uses.
I'm not too sure about them. I don't know if I'd like to have something on my nose while I was trying to focus. No. But maybe it works. Maybe it works for her.
Well, it worked for Kristen Armstrong, although you remember she had a nosebleed during the Olympic Games.
Yeah, of course.
So it can be they can be great, but if you don't put it in right, then it can cause a problem. But they're designed to open up the air passages a little bit. As we see Nicoline Moraes of South Africa rocking and rolling a little bit in towards the finishing line. This effort has hurt a lot.
Yeah, you can see just by the way she's riding, it's a flat-out effort. It's 13 kilometres, so coming into the finish straight, they're just going to be giving their absolute all now, and this is where you look less aerodynamic and a bit messy as you just churn in the gear, trying to get to the line as quickly as possible.
Well, the time to beat at the finish line, we have already seen, was set by Elena Peroni with that impressive performance. But she is top of the leaderboard at the finishing line. The time to beat, you can see 19:05.44 of Peroni, and I think that could last a little bit here as Moraes makes her way now to the finishing line, and we'll see what the average speed is as she just gets out of the saddle to get that last little bit of effort out of the legs. Races into the finish, 21:13.69, an average speed of 38 kilometres an hour.
That's still a very respectable speed, and we have to remember they're on smaller gears. The heat here, maybe they've not trained so much in these temperatures, so it's really, really a big effort from all these riders today.
The start then of the next rider. This is the Dutch rider, Maaike Bogaert, who is underway, fifth in her career so far as a junior.
Yeah, that's really impressive I mean, Ghent-Wevelgem, it's such a hard race, obviously, for the elite riders, but it's quite similar for the junior riders. So to become top 10, fifth place in that kind of event, it shows what these girls are capable of. Out
on the course then with Chloe Moran, the Australian rider, getting into her effort, going over the speed bumps, but the arrival now of the next rider. This is Karen Penko of Slovenia, about to make her way to the finishing line. 19:05.44 is the time to beat of Peroni. This is going to be a good ride by this Slovenian rider.
Yeah, she's not got a long way to go now, and she's still looking very smooth. She's not rocking around too much. So I think this is going to be a very respectable time. You can see now out the saddle, all the way, giving it everything to the line. Only 50 metres to go, but her legs are going to be burning right now.
So she hits the line, 19:38.49, 33 seconds down from the Italian leader, Peroni, who is still top of the leaderboard. Out on the course, though, at 7.4 kilometres, Sara Martin of Spain has gone through in a time of 10:54.17, but we've just seen go through. Aurelia Nerlo, who's gone through second fastest in 10:52.04, as Chang Yu reaches the finish line for China, the rider who is on the road bike as opposed to the time trial bike, just heading in now to complete this 13.7 kilometre time trial for this world title.
And this looks hard, doesn't it? You can see just how less aerodynamic it is being on a road bike, and she's given it all. She's trying to tuck down, but I think, as we can see by the time, it's just not quite aero enough for such a short distance.
Well, there she goes then in towards the finishing line, just trying to get a little bit more effort out of those pedals, out of the saddle, slightly uphill to the finishing line. Peroni still the leader, 19.5.44 the time to beat. And this Chinese rider is going to be 22.21.40 and 3.5 minutes down.
That was a tough effort, wasn't it?
Certainly was. This is we haven't seen the American rider Skylar Schneider start, so we are seeing Alessia Viglia, who's about to start, and a very talented young rider here from Italy.
Yeah, she was actually second at the European Championships recently, not far off the other Italian winner. So, like I said before, the Italians are really, really bringing big, strong juniors to these World Championships, and she's got to be one of the favourites today.
Just seen the split time of Franziska Braus of Germany going through 7.4 kilometres. She's looking fast, but I wonder whether she's not so quick through the corners, because 10:37.49, 6 seconds down on the time of the Italian rider Elena Peroni. And judging by how quick she looks on the course, that's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, definitely. But that's a valid point. Maybe the corners is where, well, you can lose or gain a lot of time, and it's about being comfortable on the bike and being confident. You need to take risks, but of course you don't want to crash. So it's a key part of this technical course today, and 6 seconds at the halfway point, that's quite a fair big chunk.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Michaela Harvey of New Zealand heading in now towards the finishing line to complete the course. And out on the split times, we haven't seen... we saw her go through the 7.4 kilometres in the 8th fastest time, so we'll see whether that translates. We didn't see Sarah Martin finish 19:35.30 for Spain, but this is Michaela Harvey now of New Zealand going up towards the last couple of turns. Just that sweeping right-hander, 500 metres to go. She's not going to beat the time of Elena Peroni, so it's still going to be the Italian rider who maintains her advantage at the top of the leaderboard.
That's impressive. She was the first rider off, and she's certainly made a really, really high benchmark for these riders. And the other girls, like I said, the juniors, they're still learning about pacing themselves and timing themselves. So it's 13 kilometres. They're just going to go out and go as hard as they can within reason. They still need to. So for the Italian rider to already set a time low 19, it's going to be really hard to beat, isn't it?
She could be in that hot seat for a long, long time. Michaela Harvey, 20:23.70, an average speed of over 40 kilometres an hour for the New Zealand rider, and she will be pleased with the performance, but she doesn't unseat Elena Peroni at the top of the leaderboard. Out on the course then, we are getting towards the midway point of the riders starting. As we get towards the end of today's run-in of the running order, we've got some very, very talented young junior riders. Back on the bike with Braus of Germany, trying to find a little bit more speed out of that bike if she possibly can. She does look really, really impressive. But Elena Peroni looked very confident, very strong all the way through the route, and that's translated to a fast time. This is the Czech Republic rider Safarova heading in towards the finish.
Now she's a bit off the time here, but she certainly looks good, doesn't she, coming into the finish line? And as you mentioned then, the German rider Braus, she looks so strong, so it's going to be quite interesting now to see if she can make those 6 seconds back to the Italian rider, or if she'll actually lose more time in the technical second half of this race. So I think it's going to be a really, really close at the end, all these times.
Safarova finishes there, completes the course, and out on the 7.4 kilometre time split, we've just seen Joanne Marcher go through of Denmark in a time of 10:50.10, so the third fastest time out on the course. There's our hot seats, as these riders will have a long wait. The Slovenian rider Karen Penko just enjoying being there.
Yeah, well, for them, it's probably one of the first times they've possibly been on a hot seat, so they're going to be enjoying every moment. They're at the World Championships, and they're the top 3 fastest times so far. And it's also very, very nerve-wracking to sit there, though. especially in the leader's seat, and you're just counting down the riders, hoping nobody's beating you. It's agonising, especially when you're the first rider off.
Yeah.
She's got to wait all this competition to find out if she'll be world champion or not.
Yeah, she's got a long, long wait, and she never knows. She could be the world champion. She could be one of the medalists. It's very, very possible. That performance has been very good. This is Yang Ji-wan of China, who has started. We're midway point now as far as the 40 riders starting this time trial is concerned. Heading in now towards the finish line is the Mexico rider, Yulan Aguirre, and is not going to be anywhere close to the time of the Italian leader, Pironi, but taking the right line, staying nice and close to the right-hand side of the road as she went round that sweeping turn, and now we'll just head to the finishing line. We'll be outside and maybe just inside the top 6 riders here as she hits the line then. Aguirre of Mexico, 6th fastest, 20, 30, 30, over 40 kilometres an hour. Very respectable performance.
Yeah, certainly. That was very strong. 40 kilometres an hour on junior gears in this heat. It's fantastic and it's very, very impressive.
The next rider to go will be another Slovenian rider, Katja Kerpen, who's about to roll down the start ramp out on the intermediate split at 7.4 kilometres. It's Elena Peroni of Italy, 10:31.44. Franziska Braus, 10:37.49 of Germany. Joanne Marcher of Denmark, 10:50.10. Thanks for your tweets. Chris B, thanks very much for watching, and thank you very much for the kind comments about being able to watch the young riders here on this course in the Pearl as we look down on it from the helicopter shots. This is the standings right now. Elena Peroni leads. Sarah Martin is in 2nd place for Spain. Karen Penko of Slovenia is in 3rd place. And that's the rundown of the top 8 on the screen so far. So what was it like, the first Junior World Championships or the first World Championships you ever went to?
I actually didn't go to a Junior World Championships. That year, when I was a junior, we just didn't go with British Cycling. So my first World Championships was actually as an elite, which was daunting. Yeah. It was in Mendrisio. I remember it very well. I didn't sleep the night before. That certainly did not help.
That doesn't help at all.
We had an extremely strong team with Nicole Cook, and yeah, I was just turned 19. It was really quite a daunting experience. Luckily, I'd done the European Championships as a junior, and that was really key for me to be able to go to a elite high major competition with all the elite riders around. It was very daunting at the time, but I think if I hadn't have done that and then gone straight into a World Championships, it would have been a lot harder.
Let's just see there, Nerlo has just unseated the 2nd fastest rider, so she goes into the silver medal position. Aurelia Nerlo of Poland is the silver medal position right now behind Elena Peroni of Italy at the finishing line. So an impressive performance there by the Polish rider as she will now get ready. And the current standings then, Elena Peroni is the leader, followed by Aurelia Nerlo, and Sarah Martin now of Spain is in 3rd place. Karen Penko is the rider from Slovenia who will now vacate the hot seat as we see the arrival of the German rider in the background. Can she beat the time of Elena Peroni? She looks really quick into the final 100 meters. This is Braus of Germany. Is this going to be the first rider under 19 minutes? She hits the line and the clock hasn't stopped there, but I think she's the fastest rider. That is a very impressive finish by Braus of Germany. We'll wait and see what the time is, but I think, Lucy, looking at that, that's the first rider under 19 minutes.
Yeah, she certainly picked up the pace, didn't she? She was storming along those final few meters. You can see now, look, she can't even move. She's just breathing hard in the heat and the effort and the excursion. And we said she looked very, very good, and she certainly picked up the pace. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what time she does now, as she nearly caught the other rider, in fact.
Yep, the clock didn't stop here. But now we see, Lucy, confirmation of the time for Franziska Braus.
It's fantastic. Nobody's been close. 2nd place was almost 20 seconds, 18 seconds off the Italian rider. So for her to go under 19 minutes, she's really set the new benchmark. But poor poor Italian rider sat in the hot seat. You're
Yeah.
a junior and you have to move down.
Yeah, got to move down to silver medal now. But Franziska Braus now, the leader, 18:56.84. Very impressive by the German rider. She looked good all the time. She was slightly behind at 7.4 kilometres, but now she has a lead of over 8 seconds on Elena Peroni. Orela Nerlo of Poland is the rider who now is in third place. We're out on the course with another Italian rider, Orela, the rider we're looking at here on the screen, Alessia Vigilia. And we go back now to the rider from the Netherlands, Maaike Boogaard from the Netherlands, Dutch time trial champion. Just trying to keep the tempo nice and high, rocking and rolling a little bit, maybe just feeling that gear.
Yeah, she doesn't look as comfortable as some of the other riders we've seen, but the Dutch are always fantastic. They've always got such a great flow of junior riders, younger riders coming up and stepping up to the elite level. I think it's because they have so many riders to look up to. If you look at the elite Dutch women's team, it's just every rider could win. And they have so many races, so these girls get a lot of practice in Holland with all the local kermesses and criteriums and time trial events, so they're certainly a good nation.
This is the Canadian rider, Erin Artwell, who's about to finish today's course and has not been her day as far as getting there concerned, but she's going to be inside just on 20 minutes. 19:59.95, couldn't get much closer to 20 minutes than that, and completes the course inside the top 6.
I'm surprised actually. I thought she might have gone a little bit faster than that with performances in the past, but you just never know. These girls have flown all the way here. They're in these hot conditions. You don't know how they're going to perform. They could have the best form ever and just struggle with the heat. So it's really quite interesting to see how each of these riders can handle these conditions.
Well, yesterday we talked in the team time trial before the start. We were saying that the team that we thought potentially might upset everybody was 2016, but they had a day that they'd rather not really remember. They really found it very tough out here.
Yeah, and that's it. Some people react to the heat differently, and all it takes, especially in a team time trial, is 1 or 2 riders to be really struggling, and it affects the whole team performance.
This is Marcher of Denmark, hits the line in 19:26.19, 30 seconds down on Braus, and into 4th place for Joanne Marcher, who actually was setting a very fast time out on the course at 7.4 kilometres, but has found that second technical section a little bit tough.
Yeah, and like we keep saying, it is a very technical course, so you might be very strong, but unless you can get around those corners quickly and save time, then you're going to be losing valuable seconds in a 13-kilometre time trial.
This is the arrival then of Chloe Moran of Australia. Well, look at this. This is an impressive ride here by Chloe Moran of Australia. Lucy, you mentioned her before the start as a potential rider here to watch out for, and we haven't really seen her set a fast time at 7.4 kilometres, but she's going to push this time of Franziska Braus very close indeed. Maybe not eclipsing the time, but she is certainly going to be close to a place in the hot seat here. This is Moran of Australia, just going past now the time of Peroni, but looking fast.
Yeah, she definitely looks strong, and you can see she's giving it all out the saddle, sprinting all the way to the line. I think she's going to be a little bit shy. She's still got 100 metres to go. But look at her, head down, grimacing. She's giving it her all. It's a fantastic ride from the young Australian.
It is. She hits the line then, 4th fastest, 19:23.98 by Chloe Moran of Australia. Just outside the time of the bronze medal position of Orela Nerlo, 10:52 at the split, and then 19:23.09 at the finish. So still the top 3 remain. Franziska Braus of Germany, Elena Peroni of Italy, who's been there since the start. She was the first rider to go, and Orela Nerlo of Poland. They are the 3 riders now in the hot seats. If you'd like to tweet us today and you've joined us, there we are with the standings on the screen. You can tweet Lucy at LucyMartin05 or at McCrossan is where you can join us on Twitter throughout these World Championships as we bring you the women's events. This is the women's junior time trial, and we're out on the course now with this young Italian, Alessia, who is trying to find a little bit of shade over there on the right. Out of the saddle quite a lot, though. Doesn't look entirely comfortable.
Yeah, you notice when riders are really moving around out the saddle, it's because they're struggling. They're just trying to get any bit of force out in whichever way they can. It's just all about moving around, getting comfortable. But also, as we keep mentioning, this course, with it being so technical, you get into a rhythm, then you're around the corner, then you're back into the bars and you're in another rhythm, and it's very hard for these girls.
This is Tatiana Duenas of Colombia, making her way now to the finishing line. 18:56.03 has gone past, so Duenas now is just going to get a little bit more speed out of those legs, heading into the finishing line. 19:35.07, sixth fastest time by Tatiana Duenas, who completes the course and now will recover. But behind her, Maaike Bogaert, looking fast so far for the Netherlands and racing now to the finishing line.
Yeah, she's certainly looking strong, isn't she? Fast time, 18:25 at the moment. She's not got a long way to go, so I think she'll be challenging the time at the finish line. And she's still looking very well composed, isn't she? She's not rocking around too much, and it'd be interesting to see how she goes now.
Yeah, it's quite a long way uphill here to the finishing line, and we're picking her up quite a few hundred meters from the finish, so she really needs to keep those pedals turning over. But noticeably, you look at the line, Lucy, that people have been taking into the finish. They're going right across the road. This rider has hugged the right-hand barrier all the way until she now sets herself up to go straight for this finishing line. So she's clearly had a look at the course and knows exactly what line she needs to take to cut little seconds off.
Yeah, exactly. As you can see, she went from one side to the other, and she's just cut that corner. She's made it as straight as possible. It's the quickest line. And that's a really good performance there from the Dutch rider.
Yeah, Maaike Bogaert then into the bronze medal position, 19:12.36. The leader still Franziska Braus of Germany, Elena Peroni of Italy in the silver medal position. Now Maaike Bogaert is the rider who goes into the bronze medal position for the Netherlands. We've had lots more riders start out on the course now, and we will see some of the bigger names that start to come here to the intermediate time split and then into the finishing line. And the last rider to take to the start will be Juliette Labou of France, a rider who's signed for Liv Planteur. The arrival then of the rider from the United States of America. This is Skylar Schneider, and actually this is looking like a very good time indeed. Skylar Schneider of the United States of America absolutely sprinting flat out now to the finishing line. And is she going to go quickest? This is going to be a little bit of a surprise here as Schneider hits the line. 18:51.80 by the American rider to go top of the leaderboard.
Look at that, 43.5 kilometers an hour average. That's absolutely fantastic. And you could see how strong she was then when she got out the saddle. She was tired, but she was so powerful. Look, sprinting all the way to the line. So that's a really impressive ride. And I think we'll see now. We've got many of the favourites to come. I think this time, maybe not that time, that's a very impressive time, but the podium's certainly going to keep changing now for the next few riders that come through.
Yeah, we keep shuffling it around, but that wasn't a rider that we picked out as a rider that we thought might take the top place in this time trial, but she's now at the top of the leaderboard. The arrival here, though, of Alicia Vigiglia of Italy. This is another fast ride by the Italian, so no sooner have we seen the American rider go to the top of the leaderboard than we're about to see an Italian who we said a few moments ago looked to be struggling to get on top of the gear. She's got 500 meters to go, and she's killing this to try and get to the finishing line.
Oh, this is going to be close, isn't it? She's holding a really good time now, and she's just giving it her everything. I think, well, what do you reckon? Is she going to beat the time?
We're laying bets now. I think she's going to be close. I think she's going to be just outside it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, she's still got over 150 meters to go. I'm sure the American rider, while she catches her breath, is looking desperately to see. Nope, she's not done it.
No, she's not done it. So the Italian rider, who has fought this bike all the way around the course. It's translated to some good speed. Can she unseat her teammate now from the hot seat? She hits the line and she just does it. So third fastest time, and Peroni for the first time today drops out of the hot seats. Virgilia now goes into the third place.
And these two Italian riders now sit in third and fourth. They were the other way around in the European Championships recently, when Eleanor won and Alicia was second. So they're so close in time. And today, on the day, she set the fastest time to knock her teammate off the podium. What a really strong performance from the Italian riders.
Yeah, the Italian riders look good, but Skylar Schneider then of the United States of America is the current leader of this women juniors individual time trial. She leads by 4.23 seconds. Francesca Braus and Alicia Virgilia of Italy is in the bronze medal position. But as you say, Lucy, this could change quite considerably, because out on the course now we've got some very fast riders, and one of them here is Madeleine Park of New Zealand, a very good time trialist.
Yeah, and she certainly looks good. As you can see now, she's coming up to one of the roundabouts. This one in particular isn't too technical. You can, if you're confident enough, you can get round here without losing much time. It's quite a wide road, but it's still, it takes a lot of guts to be able to stay on the bars.
This is a rider that we haven't really picked up on out on the course so far. This is Clara Caponi of France. She's not going to beat the time of Schneider, and she's not going to be in the medals right now. So it's still going to be United States, Germany and Italy who are in the top three places.
Yeah, she's not quite up there today with the time trials, but she's certainly a strong rider, more of a climber. She won the Junior Nations Cup Trophy Alfredo Binder earlier this year, which is a really tough race, and the women used the same course for the World Tour event. So I think she'll be somebody we'll see again in the future, maybe on the hillier road courses. Yeah,
there she goes then in towards the finish. Maybe she will be a rider who might figure in the road race, although it's pretty flat, so is maybe not going to suit her talents. But she can clearly time trial 19:43.48 as she crosses the line.
I think the rider who is leading right now, Schneider, she's actually been picked up by 2016 on the younger program, which is a really great pathway for these riders. They can, there's a few girls actually, a few American girls on the team, and they can quickly feed into the team that we saw yesterday, the Elite Women's 2016 team. So they're obviously doing it right over there in America to keep these young riders involved and showing them a good pathway to move into the elite pro peloton.
This is Christa Riffel of Germany about to roll down the start ramp as we pick up on her. Has she got, I'm just wondering why her visor isn't down over her eyes right now.
She looks pretty nervous. Maybe she's simply forgotten.
Yeah, strange. The way that maybe she's just going to pull it down over her eyes once she gets started. She doesn't feel confident going off this start ramp.
But you'd think if she wasn't happy with the visor, normally you would just take it off because it's more aerodynamic. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's happened there.
Yeah, well, let's see. Maybe we'll see her wearing it as she rolls down the start ramp, and we'll find out the story. Or maybe she forgot her aero hat and she's wearing someone else's. You never know.
Quite possibly.
These things can happen. She gets started then. This is Christa Riffel of Germany. This is rider wearing number 8, so we've got 7 riders left to take to the start line of today's race. And we know this rider can time trial. She's ridden the World Championships before. She was 37th last year, so towards the back of the field for the German rider. But she's got that experience of having ridden before. Let's turn our attention here to this South African rider. This is Lynette Benson about to finish. 20 minutes 10 has gone past. Not the great day for the South African rider, Lynette Benson, heading in towards the finishing line. Still Skylar Schneider, top of the leaderboard in 18:51.80.
Yeah, that's really a fast time, isn't it? And as we just saw now, the rider who just started, 8th rider to start. So this is really where the top competition is about to begin. Riffel is actually a German rider. She's actually the national road race champion, and she won the Junior Energy Vac Tour in Holland, which is really tough, flat Dutch race. So she's certainly a good road rider. It'll be interesting to see how she can perform in the time trial event today.
This is the Canadian rider then, Laurie Jesum, who's about to start. Third in the Canadian Road Race Championships. Rolling off the start ramp, Skylar Schneider is still the leader. So that 2016 team, you're right, they've picked up Chloe Dygert. Their talent spotting program is very, very good indeed.
Yeah, and these kind of Junior World Championships, it's a great place for a lot of the pro teams, the managers, to take a look and really see who the next talent is and who's performing well, who's got potential. Not necessarily who's winning, because like we said before, with the junior riders, they're still so young. Maybe some of them are a bit nervous, they can't quite perform on the day, but if they show good potential and if they just show guts and determination, especially you can see in the road race who's aggressive, who really wants to take the race on, then it's just a real great indicator of who you're likely to see in future. And many pro teams do just take a gamble. You're not quite sure with a junior rider. They've never done the distances, but they pick them up, they sign them up. Like 2016, they have a younger program so they can keep an eye on them. And quite often they turn out to be fantastic elite riders.
Well, you think of the riders that they've had. Let's just introduce Simone Egg of Denmark, twice the Danish champion, about to get started, rolling down the start ramp. But you think about 2016, they've got Kristen Armstrong, obviously, as the figurehead of that team. But to pick up Chloe Dygert and other riders that they've had in that squad, it's very, very impressive indeed. To be able to do that. And an American team who are just bringing more and more talent through. I must just say that 2016 is actually run by a lady called Nicola Cranmer, who is someone who comes from my home city in Southampton, moved to California as a mountain biker, and now runs that team and has got Maury Holden and some other great people that are helping to guide these young riders.
Yeah, and that's just fantastic. It's so, so important. Like you say, guidance. These young riders need guidance. They're not quite sure where to go, what's the best team to ride on, how to enter into the pro peloton. Certainly the American riders, they've got a good road scene over there with the criteriums, but they need to transfer that as well to the European racing scene where many of the World Tour races are. So, yeah, it's a fantastic pathway for these girls.
Into the finishing line then for the Chinese rider. And this is Juan Yang, who has just completed the course, 21:52.99, and the arrival of Kerpan of Slovenia just behind in a time of 20:32.55, completing the course just over 40 kilometres an hour. The big question now, Lucy, is Skylar Schneider at the top of the leaderboard. Juliette Labousse and Lisa Morzenti, Karen Swinkles, those sort of riders, they're going to have to really produce a big ride here to win this.
Yeah, and I think they'll be hearing the time that she's done, and they'll know they've got to perform well now. They've got to give it their absolute all if they're going to get anywhere near that time, because it's such a fast time.
Yeah, I mean, the average speed is impressive, very impressive indeed. You really are going to have to be absolutely on your game to win this one now.
Certainly, it's the World Championships. They've come here well prepared, and they've just got to give it everything on the day.
The Australian rider, Madeleine Fasnacht, has just started, an Australian road race champion.
Yeah, she's an extremely good rider, and again, these Australians have had the opportunity to race in Belgium, which is really important for them to get used to the European racing. Over in Australia, there's a good scene, but there's just not the number of riders. You go to Holland, all of a sudden you're on the start line of a road race with 120 riders.
Here's the arrival then of the New Zealander. This is Madeleine Park, who's about to complete the course. She's outside the time of Schneider's 18:51.80. So Madeleine Park of New Zealand, to get in the top three, you need a 19:03.90. That time goes past. It's a good performance, but it's not going to be in the medals. Hits the line, 19:10.64. Park of New Zealand is the rider who goes into 5th place.
That was a strong ride, wasn't it? You can see here she had a little stall for a moment with the gears and then straight out the saddle.
The start then of the next rider, and this is the Dutch rider. This is Karin Swinkles, about to get underway. 10th in the Ghent-Wevelgem and 6th, I think, in the European Championships.
Yeah, another great rider from Holland, and straight away, look how fast she is around these first corners. She's really She means business, doesn't she?
Yep, she's not hanging back at all. She's going to give this absolutely full gas all the way, which is what she's got to do. You can't hold anything back here.
It's only 13 kilometres. There's not that much time for pacing. It simply is get around the corners, get into a good rhythm, and you've just got to, you're basically just above the threshold. You've got to really just find the balance between going too hard, going too easy, but you have to be able to maintain it for 13.7 kilometres. So it's a tough ask, but these girls will have been training day in, day out for this event, and they'll know exactly what they need to do.
This rider from Canada looks to have good lines around these corners, though. The Canadian rider, Jusam, just trying to get the speed out of those legs, trying to stay as aerodynamic as possible. The urge is to let the head dip down a little bit, but she's managing to hold the aero hat in the right position here and to keep the momentum as high as possible.
And she looks to be really spinning the legs like she's in quite a small gear. Maybe that's a preference, maybe that's what she's used to, so it's certainly working for her.
This is of the United States of America. So we've already got an American rider in first place. Last year they dominated the individual time trial for juniors, and they dominated the road race as well with Emma White and Chloe Dygut. Again, this year, are they going to do the same thing? This is Ramirez of Mexico coming up to complete the course. This is the rider wearing number 16 and going to be outside the top 14 riders. 14th place, Ramirez, 19:58.37. It's interesting here, Lucy, we're not seeing anyone getting anywhere close to this time.
Yeah, it's really, really a fast time, and I think it's going to come down to these last three girls. If anybody's going to beat the time, you've got the European time trial champion, the French rider who was third in the Europeans. I think these are going to be the only people now who can really knock this rider off the top spot.
Yeah, this is back out on the bike with a Canadian rider, Laurie Jusam. We've mentioned before that this gives you a good indicator of riders who might do something in a professional career in the future, if indeed that is what they want to do. There's the leaderboard. It's the United States of America with Skylar Schneider, who is the current leader. She's in the hot seat. Braus of Germany is in second place, and the Italian rider is in third. As we count down now to the penultimate rider to take to the start, this is Lisa Morzenti of Italy.
Now, she is the European Junior Time Trial Champion. The Europeans were recently, so she will have held that form, and it's a really good indicator that she's a strong, strong rider. And as we were talking before about the team 2016, helping riders develop, she's actually been picked up by the women's pro team Astana. So already she's got direction for next year, which is really important for these riders, and she's shown she's a great talent. So it's going to be interesting to see how she progresses in the next few years in the pro women's peloton.
Thanks very much for the messages on Twitter at LucyMartin05 or at Ant McCrossan. Hello to John Cannings, who's tweeted in to say hello to us today. And we've also got the Breakdown Podcast, who've also tweeted in to say hello to us. Thank you to all of you for joining us for what is great to bring the junior women's time trial, because last year we didn't bring you it. This year all of you asked for it, so we're bringing you the junior time trial.
And what a great time trial it is. These average times have been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they've been absolutely stunning so far. This is the arrival then of Shimoyama of Japan, just going to be again outside the 21-minute mark by the looks of things. And Schneider is going to stay firmly at the top of the leaderboard here as we count down who is going to get anywhere close. 2 minutes 7:75. We've still got a lot of great riders to come. Thank you for joining us here for today's coverage. This is the last rider to start. This is Juliette Laboute of France, who is the French road race and time trial champion. And not just that, Lucy, she is a prolific winner of races.
Yeah, she's certainly one of the biggest French talents right now. Last year she was 5th in the junior individual time trial as a first-year junior. So most of the riders who featured in that were already second year older than her, and she still got up there. So I think she's if she was 5th last year, a year later she's going to be so much stronger, and she's really going to be focusing on this event today.
Well, she goes around right on the limit round that corner. And now she'll accelerate hard. Wearing number 1, she's got the, not the 3/4 length, the half length sleeves. So the forearms will stay as cool as they possibly can. She settles into the rhythm. This is Casanova, who's about to take the finishing line here for the Russian squad. And this is Karina Casanova. The time to beat goes by. 18:51.80 is the time to beat of Skylar Schneider of the United States of America. Has been picked up by the 2016 squad, as Lucy said. Casanova now racing towards the finishing line and hits it. She's not going to love that one. 19:30.20 for Casanova of Russia. Schneider is still top of the leaderboard. Just behind is Batria of Thailand, who completes the course in 21:14.61, 25th place.
So now all the riders are out on course. It's not going to be long until we see who the world champion is. It's quite exciting, isn't it?
It is. Well, I'm looking at the split time of Skylar Schneider. It was 10:38.21, which was 7 seconds slower than the time of Peroni of Italy, and also a second slower than Braus of Germany. And yet she translated that to the fastest time at the finish by quite a margin.
That's impressive, isn't it? I think, like we said before, it's 13.7 kilometres. It's not that long. So you do have to go as hard as you can, but within reason. And it looks like she's really paced herself at the start. Maybe some of the other girls have gone slightly too hard and then died down a little bit.
There's the split times there, Lucy, on the screen. So you can see Schneider 6.77 down and still managed to take the lead.
It's very, very impressive, isn't it? But you could see when she was sprinting towards the finish line, she looked so strong. She still had stuff to give. She was very, very much paced it very well.
This is Hannah Ahrensman of the United States of America, an 18-year-old rider who is keeping the tempo up. She's into the first phase of this ride. We'll get an idea of how she's doing when we get to this intermediate split point. This is the junior women's time trial. The arrival then of the next rider. This is the Luxembourger. This is Anne-Sophie Harsh, second in the Luxembourg Championships. Hasn't really been setting this course on fire. 18:51.80 is still going to be the leading time.
Yep, and look at that, a minute behind. It just shows the standard that she's set, the American rider. And as we saw before, the teammate Arensman is also on the 2016 team. So these two girls, they've had experience, like we mentioned before. Kirsten Armstrong is part of the same setup, so they'll have a lot of guidance from these kind of elite riders.
This is Lena Matreau of Switzerland. This is the Swiss time trial champion. This is going to be close, but not close enough. 18:51.80 is still the leading time. Matreau of Switzerland. Skylar Schneider has surprised everyone here with an 18:51.80. And Matreau of Switzerland is going to be outside of the medals. The top three still remain the same as we watch this rider spin into the finishing line. And we'll stop the clock somewhere over 19 minutes and 20 seconds, maybe close to the 20-minute mark. I'm wondering whether the conditions have changed. We know it's going to be hotter, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think it's just hot, dry, and hard. There's just not much more to say.
That's your
really,
summary of the day.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very hot and dry. So imagine, though, these girls are giving it absolute everything, gasping for air, and it's dry air. It's such a hard event, and you've got to be tough to be able to produce the goods in these kind of conditions. Lisa Morenzetti, sorry, she looks like she's riding quite comfortably, doesn't she?
Yeah, she looks fast, doesn't she? She's got a really lovely style, the way she rides with her hands on the bars. We're just letting the forearms nice and relaxed. Quite a long position, though, on the bike.
Yeah, she certainly looks aero, but she was definitely not fighting the bike. She looked quite comfortable and at ease there. So it'll be interesting to see what her time is now at the intermediate splits.
This is Suzanne Andersen, the Norwegian time trial and road race champion, who has signed, of course, for High Tech.
Yeah, another great transition for such a young rider to go into a pro team like that, and it's so fantastic to see when these pro teams pick up riders.
Hitting the line then, 19:14:29, seventh fastest time for Suzanne Anderson. Won a stage of the Tour of Norway, was third in Ghent-Wevelgem as well as she completes the course. But no one is getting anywhere close to this time of Skylar Schneider. So let's just recap then for you. If you've just joined us now, Skylar Schneider, United States of America, top of the leaderboard, 18:51.80. Franziska Braus of Germany, 18:56.03. Alessia Vigilia of Italy, 12 seconds down, but still in the bronze medal. And Peroni, fourth fastest, was the first rider to go and is still there.
That's impressive, isn't it? Normally, you don't see one of the first riders to set such a strong time, such a fast time, and she'll have been waiting around. Not many riders to finish now, and she's still holding on to fourth. Yep,
she's going to finish pretty high up here in this Time Trial World Championships. But meanwhile, we're out on the course with Juliette Labousse. This rider is the rider that everyone's been concerned to beat.
Yeah. She's another rider who's been picked up by a pro team, as you mentioned before, Liv Planteur. So it's just inspiring and motivating for these girls. They're junior riders, they're here, they're performing well. And for them to already know where they're going to ride next year with the best riders, elite female riders in the world, it's just so great to see. And it shows women's cycling is improving so much.
This is the arrival then of the next rider. This is Pikulik of Poland. 19:19 has gone past, so this rider's not going to take the fastest time. But Lucy, out on the course now, we're seeing some fast time splits. Carlin Swinkels of the Netherlands has gone through the 7.4 kilometre split with a time of 10:24.32, an average speed of 42.670. And we've also seen Madeleine Fasnacht go through for Australia in 10:37.36, the third fastest time. But bear in mind, Schneider, fifth fastest at that point, went faster in the second phase of this ride. So we're starting to see some possible riders who might go top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, they've certainly gone out very, very fast, haven't they, here? So it all just depends. Have they gone out too fast, or is this their tactic? They know they can go out fast. They know they can hold on and not lose too much time into the finish line. But the fastest time currently set by the German, she kind of paced herself at the beginning, 6 seconds behind at the halfway mark, and then really brought it home for the final kilometres. So yeah, I think it's going to be really close today.
This is going to be close. This is Riffel of Germany, who is coming into the finish, has not pulled that visor down at all on the time trial so far, and is going to complete the course somewhere outside the 19-minute mark. So still very few riders have been through underneath the 19-minute mark. In fact, so far, only two riders have managed to do that, Franziska Braus and Skylar Schneider. Riffel finishes 19:24.04, and she is there in 10th fastest time so far. Okay, predictions. Who's going to take this?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, actually, I knew she was fast, so I normally would have gone for the French rider, Labousse, but now I'm not so sure.
I'll also tell you that just before the start, the TV director asked me which motorbikes should follow which riders, and I swapped the rider from the ride of Skylar Schneider to Alessia Vigilia of Italy.
Oh.
So I think the TV director is also not going to be thanking me very much right now.
So it's all your fault.
It is. Swinkels of the Netherlands, though, we said firmly would be a rider who could produce a big performance today. Out on the course now, and we know that she's set a very, very fast time. This is the rider, Lucy, you said went off the start ramp like a rocket and looks to be continuing that all the way in this time trial.
Yeah, you can see how tall she is. She's got really strong, long legs, typically Dutch rider, and she's powering away right now. She's got a really good style.
This is a Canadian rider. This is Jusam of Canada, who's coming into the finishing line now. And I think it's not going to be long until we see a fast time, because two riders after this is Madeleine Fasnacht of Australia, who we know is fast out on the course. This is Jusam of Canada, Going to be outside the top 20 riders, I think, with this ride. But then we're going to see the last 5 riders come into the finish line, which will be Fastnacht, Swinkels, Arensman, Morzenti and Labous. They are the riders who can unseat the current rider in the hot seat, Skylar Schneider of the United States of America. But you just never know with the juniors. This rider's been preparing in the United States. We see the arrival now of Simone Egg of the Danish team. This is a good ride by this rider. She hasn't really given us anything to talk about out on the course, but right now she sees the finishing line. She ups the tempo a little bit. This is Simone Egg of Denmark. I think is going to maybe just get in the medals. She does. 19.0018. That's a great performance. 43.256, and she now moves Alessia Vigilia of Italy down into 4th place.
Yeah, we didn't really get to see much of her out on course, but she's obviously been identified as a talent. She's been riding with the Danish team BMS Bern, and she'll continue with that team next year. So what a real solid performance from the Danish rider there.
Yeah, very, very good indeed. Here's the current standings as we flick through them. This is the 11th place down to the top 20. But I think we're about to see some fast times. But can they beat Skylar Schneider? The time of Madeleine Fastnacht out on the course we know is quick. We know that Caroline Swinkels, this rider from the Netherlands, who will be the rider to finish after Madeleine Fastnacht. So we'll see whether Fastnacht can set a fast time. Juliette Labous is one of those riders, to me, who doesn't look quick but is absolutely flying on this course because she just has that ability. Here is Madeleine Fastnacht. Is this going to be the fastest time by the Australian rider? 18 minutes 51.80. It's going to be really, really close. I think she has maybe gone out a little bit too quick, and Skylar Schneider rode a much more consistent ride. Fastnacht had a fast intermediate time split, but Lucia legs have given up on the run into the finishing line, and I don't think she's going to make it into the medals. It is going to be 19.537, 5th fastest time.
Yeah, what a fantastic ride. She's a first-year junior, so at the moment all these other girls who seem to be posting the fast times are the older, 1 year older. So wow, now we look at the Dutch rider Schwinkels coming into the finish. This
is the ride of the day so far. Caroline Schwinkels of the Netherlands. She looked fast straight off the start ramp. 18.51.80 is the time to beat. This ride is very, very impressive indeed. Schwinkels now is really lifting the tempo. Is this going to be the gold medal ride? She is sprinting uphill now to the finishing line. She's going to absolutely blow the time out of sight. 18.51.80. It is going to be Swinkels of the Netherlands, 18.21.77, 44.7 kilometers an hour.
Wow. I don't know what to say. That was unbelievable. We've just been talking about how no one could get near the fastest time of 18.51, and she goes 30 seconds faster.
18.21.77. Well, Lucy, you said the minute she started, she went off the start ramp and there was no holding back at all.
Which I wasn't sure if you'd be able to hold on. You know, sometimes riders start so fast and they die off, as we've seen with some of these other girls, but she's clearly strong enough, and she's been able to hold 13.7 kilometers at such a fast speed.
44.7 kilometers an hour by a junior on restricted gears.
Wow.
That is so impressive. Very impressive indeed. That is a rider who is right on the top of her game today. So quick. Maybe the course absolutely suited her. She didn't mind the hot temperatures either. The arrival now of the next American rider. This is another fast time, I think. This is Arensman. Hannah Arensman of the United States of America, the 18-year-old rider. 18.21.77, the time to beat. And this is looking quick too.
She looks very, very sleek. It's this last corner, though. It seems to be almost catching people out. It's a lot longer than it appears. You think you turn the corner and you're at the finish line, but 500 metres to go. Still quite a long way, isn't it?
Yeah, still a long drag, and it is all uphill in the heat all the way to the finishing line. She's rocking and rolling a little bit. She's just staying in the saddle, just trying to keep the cadence as high as possible to get in silver medal. It's 18:51.80, and it's her teammate that she would unseat. She's still got a long, long way to go. This is painful to the finishing line.
She's got her head down. She's just thinking about nothing but giving it her all. She's just looking for that line. It can't come soon enough. She's getting there, but
hits the line then, 18:55.82, third fastest time by Arensman. So it's the Netherlands, United States and United States now in the first, second and third position. But look at this, the arrival of the Italian rider, Lisa Morzenti. She's now going round this right-hand turn we were just talking about. This rider, look at the speed, right on the front of the saddle, 18:21.77 the time to beat.
she looks very comfortable. I'm sure she doesn't feel comfortable because look at this fast time, but she looks very good on a bike, doesn't she? She's so aerodynamic. She's not rocking and rolling too much, and she's not got far to go now. And this time's extremely fast, 18:06 with a couple of 100 meters to go.
Here she goes now. She's going to lift this tempo. She's got to just get there. I don't know if she's going to beat the time of Swinkles. It's going to be very, very close indeed for Morzenti of Italy, the European time trial champion. She wanted to be the world champion. She's going to be outside the time of Swinkles, but she's going to be inside the time of Schneider, 18:29.12, second fastest time for the Italian. Another ride over 44 kilometers an hour.
Well, she is the European champion, so we knew she was going to have a strong performance here today, and she certainly backed it up to do such a fantastic time like that. Only a handful of seconds off the winner.
She knows, look at that.
One more rider to go.
Yep, only one rider can beat her. That's Juliette Labousse of France. As we look down on the pearl, this is the current leaderboard. Carlin Swinkles of the Netherlands, the leader. Lisa Morzenti of Italy in second place. Skylar Schneider of the United States. Can she get a medal here for the United States after such an impressive performance? Only one rider now can unseat those riders, and this is Juliette Labousse. And I'm not sure that this is possible to get the fastest time. Is the gold medal going to go to Swinkles?
I think it is. 500 meters to go.
Yep, Juliette Labousse, the French road race and time trial champion, bronze medalist in the European Championships. To get into the medal, she needs 18:51.80. It's going to be touch and go whether she can even do that. The fastest time is 18:21.77, and now we know that the gold medal is going to go to the Netherlands. Carlin Swinkles is going to be the world champion of the junior women's time trial. Now it's all about whether this rider can beat 18:51.80 and just take the bronze medal away from Skylar Schneider, who is the surprise of today. 50 meters to go. She's going to do it. She hits a line then in 18:43.12, and she takes the bronze medal. The gold goes to Carlin Swinkles of the Netherlands. Lisa Morzenti of Italy takes the silver, and Juliette Labousse of France takes the bronze. And Labousse was the pre-race favourite, I would say, with Morzenti. But it's Swinkles who started fourth from the end, who takes the world title.
Now, Swinkles recently was sixth at the European Championship, so she's really stepped up here today. Maybe the course suits her slightly more, the heat, but we saw from the start she had a blistering ride, and now she's the new junior world champion.
Yeah, all smiles from Carlin Swinkles. She can't believe it. She's going to head now to the podium. What a day for her.
Yeah, and imagine the feeling, such a young age to call yourself world champion. It's really, really special moment for these riders.
There's our result then. Carlin Swinkles of the Netherlands, 18:21.77 was the fastest time. Lisa Morzenti of Italy, 7:35 down. Juliette Labousse, the third fastest time. Was a great tussle between all those riders. Skylar Schneider, the leader for a long, long time. She finishes in fourth place. Hannah Arensman of the United States in fifth. Francisca Braus, who was also up there for a long time, in sixth place. in this time trial. There's the times, but I think the most impressive thing is the speed of these riders. That ride to take the gold, 44.764 kilometres an hour by Carleen Swinkels, which is supreme by any standards of any time trial.
And on restricted gears. I'm just impressed. That's really great. And it's exciting to see these girls now. What are they going to do in the coming years when they step into the pro peloton? Of course, it takes a little bit of time to get used to the distance and the style of racing, but I think the top 10 we've seen today, I think we'll be hearing a lot more of these names in future, and I hope so. It'd be really great for the sport and changing the women's pro peloton when you get all these new amazing talents coming in.
Yeah, and you look at riders that clearly she will have been inspired by the likes of Anna van der Breggen, Marianne Vos and the other great Dutch riders, but they just keep producing them. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. And I think it's got a lot to do with the amount of races over in Holland and Belgium and these countries. The juniors in particular can race almost every week, and they can do different races, road races, criterium. Sometimes they can race with the elite riders, and it just gives them such a good background and such a good start in cycling, and yeah, it's just so valuable for them to become really great riders in the future.
Here's then the top 3 riders making their way into the finishing line. Juliette Labousse of France was the bronze medalist. We saw Skylar Schneider with a very impressive performance today to almost take a medal, 4th place. She's going to be bitterly disappointed to be outside of the medals, but she really came to prominence and was noticed. This is Carleen Swinkels, who was the rider who produced the ride of the day. Really impressive.
It'll be interesting to see tomorrow as well in the elite individual time trial if the Dutch can pull it off again. Current European champion Ellen van Dijk, she's going to be one of the favourites, so that would be good for the Dutch team, a junior and an elite individual time trial champion.
Yeah, for sure. It would be great to see that continuing. They've got Anna van der Breggen as well, who's looking, of course, to try and win the road title, but they've got so many other riders who are in that team who can win on the weekend.
Yeah, the whole team is just full of a strong
Caroline,
rider.
You're a world champion. Can you believe it?
No, I can't. That's amazing. I've dreamed about it all the time, and now I did it.
It comes as a surprise because you were among the favorites, among the good riders. It came as a surprise.
Well, there were a lot of good riders. At the Europeans, I came 5th, 6th, and now I trained only on my TT bike for this championship, and I did it.
How was the course? A very technical course with those roundabouts and obviously the heat.
Yes, we have trained a lot on the curves, and yeah, just preparing, and so it's amazing.
Yeah. People at home must be very, very proud of you. A lot of tears, a lot of smiles back home in the Netherlands, I suppose.
Oh yes, and the parents.
And tonight, party time.
Oh, I don't know, just Friday.
Congratulations, fantastic performance. Thank you very much.
Well, that was an emotional interview.
Yeah, definitely. It's so great to see, though, isn't it? How much it means to these riders. It's the first time winning the World Championships, and no one can take that away from her forever now. She's a world champion.
Also interesting that she said she finished in the European Championships and then just purely trained on her time trial bike. It's all about that discipline, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's one of the main things. Time trialists spend so much time in the position, on the bike, getting comfortable, but also getting aero, powerful, and that's where you gain these valuable seconds at the end.
Yeah, you've just got to have the position and get the muscles used to riding in that position, which is totally different to a road bike.
Yeah, exactly. It's completely different. It's almost like if you go onto a track bike, it's the same position. And if you're racing regularly on the road, in hilly races, you're out the saddle, it's like it's a different discipline, but it's like a completely different sport sometimes. You can jump on a time trial bike and it can feel like the worst thing ever. Or you train and all of a sudden it's your best friend. It's the most comfortable bike you could ever ride.
Did you spend a lot of time on your time trial bike?
No.
No. It wasn't your best friend.
No, it definitely wasn't. It was my enemy.
Well, thank you to all of you for joining us for today's live coverage of this women's junior time trial. We're getting ready now for the podium ceremony here in the Pearl in Qatar as we get ready to present the medals to Juliette Labousse, Lisa Borzenti and Carleen Swinkels. Well, dreams come true for this young rider. She's dreamt about being a world champion. She's trained hard. She trained hard on a time trial bike. And now she is the world champion. And as Lucy just said, you can't take it away from her. She is world champion. She'll always remember this day. Some people will have hated the heat of Doha. Other riders thrive in it and can produce the world-winning performances. And Carleen Swinkels, you noticed straight away, Lucy, you said straight away, she's gone off the start ramp and held nothing back.
Yeah, that was unbelievable, especially with the corner being so close. She sprinted into the corner, out of the corner, around the roundabout, and you could tell she was really, really on for a good one. And it's actually so great to see that she was that confident, because sometimes you see riders, they start slowly because they're basically scared of not being able to go all the way to the finish line. But she didn't show any fear. She just went for it.
Yeah, so, well, clearly, and that when she says in the interview, I spent all the time on my time trial bike, it's just become second nature to her, going through corners, roundabouts, doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's where she's gained these extra seconds. I mean, she was only 7 seconds, second place was 7 seconds behind, and that can simply come from the technical aspects, not necessarily the strength. That you can lose 7 seconds just going around corners. So it's a bit of everything. You've got to get it all right. You've got to train on your time trial bike. You've got to know the distance and train to the distance, pace yourself. You've got to be able to go around corners. You've got to handle the nerves, which is a huge thing for junior riders when they come to these kind of competitions. So she's got it all right on the day.
So if you're a young rider and you're listening, listen to Lucy Martin. There's your advice.
Maybe not about time trials.
We're waiting then for the riders. They're comparing suntans before we get onto the podium now.
I think what's actually so spectacular about this winning ride is, like she said, she was 6th recently at the European Championship. So 6th, she's off the podium. She's up there, but she's not quite. So to come away today with the win, it's fantastic. It's really she's really turned things around a lot, which obviously shows time trial training on a time trial bike does help. Yeah,
and also she's beaten some riders that immediately we picked out as the possible winners. Juliette Labousse. She's beaten Lisa Morzenti, but the other Italian riders that you mentioned earlier on who were up there in the medals, Alicia Vergiglia and Elena Peroni, that she's beaten some names that we immediately know are going to teams who are going to be riding against the top riders in the world. Suzanne Anderson, who's going to High Tech, those sort of riders, and she's beaten all of them.
Yeah, these girls you've just mentioned, they've all been identified already from the performances this season as a lot of potential. They've got a lot of potential. They're really talented riders. They've been swept up by these teams. But when you come to the world stage, it's another final opportunity to really, really put everything into perspective, and it shows everything. It's a big race. It's who can handle the nerves, who can really prepare well for a one-day event. And I think there'll be a lot of people looking at this Dutch rider now in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting ready then for the podium presentation. Here we go, as we get ready to present the medals. Eddie Merckx arrives on the podium here to present the awards for today's world title, and the first jersey we're going to see presented today at the World Championships. Yesterday, of course, they don't get the World Championship jerseys. Today is the first rainbow bands that will be awarded.
Yeah, I think we'll see some tears here. She was very emotional in the interview, so when she pulls on the jersey, imagine the feeling. It's in front of all these people watching her. She's going to meet Eddie Merckx. She's going to have the jersey. She's achieved a goal at such a young age. It's fantastic.
Yeah, she's going to remember this moment for a long, long time. Carleen Swinkels is about to be presented as the world champion for the Netherlands. That's kicked off their championships very well indeed.
It's just so exciting to see what these riders will produce in the future. As we said before, in the previous championships, Eleanor Barker, for example, she won the individual time trial. Now she's Olympic gold medalist. Not so many years later. It's not taken that long.
No, exactly.
These are the future of women's cycling, these riders.
Yeah, and they're in the perfect place right now because the professional team managers are all, we saw them last night in our hotels, Danny Stam, Ronnie Lauker, all those guys who are signing riders for the pro teams are here and they're watching these races.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the really great things the UCI have actually done, is to bring the junior riders event back with the elite riders and the team time trial. So everybody's here. This is the World Championships. It's not separated, and these riders they're exposed to the elite competition. They can watch the road race on Saturday, the elite riders. They can really get a feel for it, and it's extra special.
So the silver medal goes to Lisa Morzenti of Italy. She's presented with the silver medal now. Steps up onto the podium.
Gold medalist and world champion representing the Netherlands, Caroline Svinkels.
Carleen Swinkels is the world champion of the women junior individual time trial. She'll be presented with the jersey and with the gold medal as well. Great to see the emotion of what it means to a young rider to be a world champion.
She's going to be hot in that jersey, isn't she?
2 layers on. I don't think she'll mind.
Oh, and it's long sleeves.
Exactly. She puts on the jersey, the rainbow bands over the shoulders. The gold medal is about to be presented. Yep, she's a very emotional young rider right now.
As anyone would be.
Very special to see the world champion Carleen Swinkels of the Netherlands, and the Dutch fans are out as usual at these world championships. And now the national anthem of the Netherlands. Now we're going to be presenting the flowers first of all. So we present the flowers to the 3 riders. All hugs for the world champion. And now the national anthem.
The watch, kindly donated by Tissot, is presented by Eddie Merckx, ambassador of the 2016 UCI Road World Championships. Mesdames et messieurs, en l'honneur de notre championne, écoutons l'hymne national des Pays-Bas.
سيداتي سادتي النشيد الوطني لهولندا.
Ladies and gentlemen, in honor of our world champion, let's hear the national anthem of the Netherlands. nous suivre et applaudir de nouveau nos championnes.
There's our podium then. The world champion is Carleen Swinkels of the Netherlands. The silver medal goes to Lisa Morzenti of Italy. Juliette Labousse of France is the bronze medal. You were right, Lucy. That was a pretty emotional moment for that young rider on the podium.
Yeah, it really was. To pull on the jersey at such a young age. But I think we'll see more. I think she'll have a lot more medals in the future, maybe even an elite World Championship jersey one day.
Well, let's see. We've mentioned previously the likes of Lisa Brennauer, previous world champion, Trixie Warwick, other riders who've gone on to be the top names in women's world cycling. These three riders can just enjoy this now. She's already thinking about Friday and the junior road race, and who's to say she can't come home with another medal?
Exactly. Think how much confidence and motivation you get from winning a world title, winning a world medal. They're going to be so excited for the road race.
Here we are then, as we look down on the Pearl. Thank you very much for joining Lucy Martin and myself for today's Junior Women's Time Trial. We'll leave you with some highlights. Thanks very much. Goodbye for now.